Princess Zara-Eth stood at the viewing port of the human research vessel, her golden scales catching the soft interior lights. She was not impressed. The ship seemed small compared to Valnorian warships, and the crew appeared disorganized, rushing about with their strange equipment and friendly chatter. "Your Highness, I'm Marcus Chen. I'll be your guide during the cultural exchange." Zara-Eth turned to face a young human male. He was average height for his species, with dark hair and brown eyes. He wore simple research clothing and held a data pad awkwardly in his hands. When he bowed, it was clumsy and unpracticed. "You are my handler?" Zara-Eth asked, unable to hide her disappointment. The Valnorian Empire had conquered 42 worlds across 3 centuries. They had sent their princess to learn from humanity, and the humans assigned her. This nervous researcher? "Guide, actually," Marcus said with an embarrassed smile. "Handler sounds so formal. I'm a xenobiologist. I study alien life forms. The captain thought you might enjoy our fieldwork." Zara-Eth's tail swished with irritation. She had requested a military officer, or at least a senior diplomat. Instead, she received a scientist who could barely make eye contact. "Very well," she said coldly. "Show me what you do." Over the next 3 days, Marcus took her through the ship's laboratories. He explained their mission with genuine excitement. The vessel traveled to frontier worlds, studying ecosystems and cataloging new species. Marcus talked about evolution, adaptation, and survival strategies with the enthusiasm of a hatchling. Zara-Eth found it tedious. Her people had mastered biology centuries ago. This human seemed to know nothing of warfare, politics, or power. He apologized constantly, bumped into equipment, and once spilled an entire tray of samples when she asked him a direct question. "He is weak," she told her attendant that evening. "Humans claim to be an advanced species, yet they send me their most incompetent representative." On the 4th day, the ship entered orbit around Krath 7, a frontier world covered in dense purple forests. The planet was listed as a predator study site. "We're collecting genetic samples from the local apex predators," Marcus explained during the mission briefing. "The razor wolves here are fascinating. They hunt in coordinated packs and show remarkable intelligence." "I will join the expedition," Zara-Eth announced. The room fell silent. Captain Rodriguez, a stern woman with gray hair, shook her head. "Your Highness, that's not advisable. Krath 7 is a dangerous world." "I am a Valnorian warrior princess," Zara-Eth said, rising to her full 7-foot height. "My ancestors conquered predator worlds before humanity learned to build spacecraft. I will not hide on this vessel like a scared hatchling." Marcus cleared his throat softly. "Your Highness, perhaps—" "Are you questioning my courage, human?" Zara-Eth's eyes narrowed. "No, ma'am," Marcus said quickly, looking down. "I just thought—" "Never mind. You're absolutely right. I'll prepare an extra environmental suit." 2 hours later, Zara-Eth stood in the purple forest alongside Marcus and 4 security personnel. The air was thick and humid, filled with strange scents. Massive trees stretched upward, their leaves creating a canopy that filtered the sunlight into violet shadows. Marcus moved carefully through the undergrowth, scanning for samples. He still seemed nervous, checking his equipment twice and apologizing when he made noise. "Your species is too cautious," Zara-Eth observed. "No wonder you need so much technology to survive." Marcus smiled weakly. "We're pretty fragile compared to Valnorians, that's true." They collected samples for an hour without incident. Zara-Eth grew bored. This was simple work, nothing challenging or dangerous. She began to wander farther from the group, examining the alien plants with mild interest. Then she heard the growl. It came from everywhere at once, deep and resonant. The security team immediately raised their weapons, scanning the forest. Marcus's head snapped up, and for just a moment, Zara-Eth saw something different in his expression. Then his usual nervous demeanor returned. "Everyone stay calm," Marcus said quietly. "Back toward the ship, slowly." "What is it?" one security officer whispered. "Razor wolves, a full pack by the sound of it." The creatures emerged from the purple shadows like nightmares. They were massive, each one 12 feet long with jet-black fur and silver markings. Their mouths contained rows of crystalline teeth that glittered in the filtered sunlight. Yellow eyes focused on the humans and Zara-Eth with predatory intelligence. Zara-Eth counted 12 of them, surrounding the group in a loose circle. The security team's hands shook on their weapons, waiting for orders. The pack leader, a massive specimen with scarred flanks, moved closer, its lips pulled back, revealing those terrible teeth. Zara-Eth reached for her own weapon. She had fought dangerous creatures before. But something made her pause. Marcus stepped forward. The nervous researcher walked directly toward the pack leader, moving with sudden, fluid grace. His posture had completely changed. His shoulders were relaxed, his movements deliberate and calm. He stopped 10 feet from the massive predator. Then Marcus looked directly into the razor wolf's eyes. Zara-Eth watched in shock as the massive creature's ears flattened against its head. The predator's yellow eyes, so fierce moments before, flickered with something she had never seen in an apex predator's gaze: uncertainty. Maybe even fear. Marcus didn't blink. He didn't move. He simply stood there, meeting the razor wolf's stare with patient intensity. The forest had gone completely silent except for the sound of breathing. The razor wolf took a step backward, then another. The pack leader's tail lowered, and it released a soft whine from deep in its throat. The other razor wolves responded immediately, backing away from the group. Within seconds, the entire pack retreated into the purple shadows, their forms disappearing among the trees. Marcus watched them go, his expression unreadable. Then he turned back to the group, and his nervous smile returned. "We should head back to the ship now," he said pleasantly, as if nothing unusual had happened. "I think we have enough samples for today." The security team stared at him in stunned silence. Zara-Eth felt her scales bristle with confusion, and something else she couldn't quite name. She had seen predators face each other before. She understood dominance displays and territorial challenges, but this was different. The razor wolf hadn't been challenged. It had been dismissed. As if Marcus were so far above it in the natural order that fighting would have been meaningless. During the shuttle ride back to the ship, nobody spoke. Marcus sat quietly, reviewing his sample data on his pad. His hands still trembled slightly as he typed. He bumped his elbow against the seat and apologized softly. The nervous researcher had returned completely. Zara-Eth couldn't stop staring at him. What had she witnessed in that forest? What was this human? As they docked with the main ship, Captain Rodriguez waited at the airlock. She looked at Marcus with knowing eyes, then at Zara-Eth's confused expression. "Your Highness," the captain said carefully, "perhaps we should talk. There are things about humanity you should understand before you complete your cultural exchange." Zara-Eth's tail coiled with anticipation. "Yes, I think that would be wise." The captain smiled, but there was no humor in it. "Tell me, Princess, have you ever wondered why humanity has no natural predators on Earth anymore? Why no large carnivores hunt humans in our forests?" Zara-Eth shook her head slowly. "Let me show you something," Captain Rodriguez said, gesturing toward the conference room. "Let me show you what Marcus really is." Captain Rodriguez led Princess Zara-Eth into the conference room. The lights dimmed automatically, and a holographic display activated in the center of the table. Marcus followed behind them, still carrying his sample containers, looking uncomfortable with the attention. "Computer, display Earth classification," the captain commanded. The hologram shifted to show a blue and green planet rotating slowly. Beside it, text appeared in multiple languages. Zara-Eth's translator implant processed the information, and her eyes widened. Class 12 Death World? She read aloud. That classification is theoretical. No species could evolve on a Class 12 world and achieve spaceflight. Yet here we are, Captain Rodriguez said quietly. Marcus set down his samples and sighed. Captain, is this really necessary? The princess came here for cultural exchange, not a biology lesson about human origins. After what happened on Krath 7, I think she deserves to know, the captain replied. Zara-Eth's tail swished with growing interest. Explain this classification. What makes Earth so dangerous? The hologram changed to show Earth's surface. Images cycled through massive storms, volcanic eruptions, earthquakes, and tidal waves. Numbers scrolled beside each image. Earth's gravity is 1.3 times galactic standard, Captain Rodriguez began. Our atmosphere has higher oxygen content than most worlds, which allows larger organisms but also more violent weather patterns. Our planet experiences regular natural disasters that would devastate colonies on safer worlds. Many species face harsh environments, Zara-Eth countered. The Valnorian homeworld has strong gravity as well. Show her the predators, Marcus said softly. The display shifted again. Zara-Eth watched as images of Earth's ancient animals appeared. Massive reptiles with crushing jaws, giant cats with blade-like teeth. Bears twice the size of humans, wolves, crocodiles, sharks, venomous snakes, and countless other creatures designed to kill. These are extinct species, Zara-Eth observed. Every world has fossils of dangerous animals. Not extinct by natural causes, Marcus said. Extinct because of us. He walked to the display and gestured at the images. His nervous mannerisms had faded again, replaced by quiet confidence. Humans had no natural weapons, Marcus continued. No claws, no fangs, no venom, no armor. We couldn't run as fast as prey animals or fight as well as other predators. By every measure, we should have been food for these creatures. But you weren't, Zara-Eth said. No, we weren't. Marcus pulled up another image showing early humans. We had 3 advantages. First, we could sweat. While other predators had to rest after chasing prey, we could run for hours, even days, following wounded animals until they collapsed from exhaustion. We called it persistence hunting. Zara-Eth felt a chill run down her spine. You hunted by never stopping? Second advantage, Marcus continued. We could throw objects with incredible accuracy. A human can kill from a distance using nothing but a rock. We developed spears, arrows, and eventually more advanced weapons. We could hunt without ever getting close to danger. The hologram showed ancient humans bringing down massive beasts with simple tools. Third advantage, Marcus said, his voice growing quieter. We learned to think differently than our prey and our competitors. We studied patterns, predicted behavior, and planned complex strategies. We didn't just react to danger. We anticipated it, prepared for it, and eliminated it before it could threaten us. Captain Rodriguez added, Every large predator that saw humans as food learned differently. Those that didn't learn went extinct. Over thousands of generations, Earth's predators developed an instinctive fear of humans. They recognize us as something more dangerous than themselves. Zara-Eth thought about the razor wolf backing down from Marcus. That creature on Krath 7 had never seen a human before. How did it know to retreat? Predator recognition, Marcus explained. Most predatory species across the galaxy share similar traits. Forward-facing eyes for tracking prey. Certain postures and movements. The razor wolf recognized predator behavior in me, but more than that, it recognized something that didn't fear it at all. Apex predators understand hierarchy. When something shows no fear, it means that something is higher on the food chain. You were not afraid, Zara-Eth said, remembering Marcus's calm expression in the forest. I was terrified, Marcus admitted with a small smile. But fear and caution are different things. Humans learn to function despite fear. We had to, or we'd have died out millions of years ago. The hologram changed to show human cities, spacecraft, and technology. We became civilized, Captain Rodriguez said. We built societies, created art, developed science. But that predator core never went away. It's still there, under the surface, waiting for when we need it. Zaraeth looked at Marcus with new understanding. The nervous researcher, the clumsy scientist, that is real, isn't it? Completely real, Marcus said, looking embarrassed. I genuinely love studying alien life. I get excited about plant samples and microorganisms. I'm awkward in social situations, and I really did spill those samples because you make me nervous. But when danger appears, millions of years of evolution take over, Marcus finished. My body reacts before my mind can worry about it. Every human has this capability. Some of us just train it more than others. Before Zaraeth could respond, an alarm blared throughout the ship. Red lights flashed in the corridor outside. Captain Rodriguez's communication device activated immediately. Captain, we're receiving a distress signal, a crew member's voice reported. Valnorian colony on Herath 9. They're under attack by unknown raiders. Multiple casualties reported. They're requesting immediate assistance. Zaraeth stood quickly. That's a civilian colony, mostly scientists and their families. They have minimal defenses. Captain Rodriguez checked her device. We're the closest ship, but we're a research vessel, not a military craft. We have limited weapons and no combat troops. We have to help them, Zaraeth insisted. Those are my people. The captain looked at Marcus. Something passed between them, an unspoken understanding. Marcus nodded slowly. Set course for Herath 9, Captain Rodriguez ordered. Maximum speed. Marcus, I'm putting you in charge of the rescue operation. Zaraeth's confusion returned. Him? Captain, I appreciate what I've learned, but I am a trained Valnorian officer. I have actual military experience. Marcus is a scientist who— Marcus, the captain interrupted. Please tell the princess what you did before joining this research mission. Marcus shifted uncomfortably, looking down at his feet. I took a sabbatical from my regular duties. I really do love xenobiology, and the research vessel program allows military personnel to pursue educational interests during their leave time. Your regular duties, Zaraeth pressed. What are they? Marcus met her eyes, and she saw that same calm intensity from the forest. I'm part of Earth's Special Operations Division. Counterterrorism, hostage rescue, high-risk extractions. I've been doing it for 8 years. The conference room fell silent, except for the hum of the ship's engines accelerating toward the endangered colony. Zaraeth processed this information. The clumsy researcher who apologized constantly was actually a trained warrior. The nervous young man who bumped into equipment was someone who faced danger professionally. The awkwardness, she said slowly. It wasn't deception. No, Marcus confirmed. I genuinely prefer studying plants to shooting weapons. I joined special operations because I'm good at it, but I don't enjoy violence. This sabbatical was supposed to be peaceful. I wanted to learn about alien ecosystems and forget about combat for a while. But now people need help, Marcus said simply, and that matters more than my vacation. Captain Rodriguez pulled up tactical data on the colony. The raiders appear to be Kresh mercenaries. They're a warrior species, known for their brutality and combat effectiveness. They've taken hostages in the colony's central dome. Zaraeth knew about the Kresh. They were larger than humans, stronger, with natural armor plating and aggressive territorial instincts. Even Valnorian troops approached them with caution. How many in your security team? She asked. 12 personnel, the captain answered. Mostly trained for ship defense, not ground combat. Against Kresh raiders, that won't be enough, Zaraeth said. Marcus was already studying the colony layout on the display. His fingers moved across the controls with practiced efficiency, analyzing entry points and defensive positions. The nervous fumbling had completely disappeared. "It'll have to be enough," he said quietly. "We're 3 hours out. I'll use that time to prepare. Princess, if you want to help, I could use your knowledge of Valnorian colony layouts and your military training." Zara Eth straightened her spine. "You have it." As they began planning the rescue operation, Zara Eth watched Marcus transform before her eyes. The scientist faded into the background, replaced by a focused tactical operator who spoke with quiet authority. He asked precise questions, made rapid decisions, and showed no hesitation. But when he reached for his data pad to take notes, his hand still trembled slightly. The duality fascinated her. Marcus was both people simultaneously, the gentle researcher and the dangerous warrior, and somehow that made him more formidable than if he were only one or the other. 3 hours until they reached the colony. 3 hours to save her people. Zara Eth realized she was no longer certain who was the novice in this situation. The research vessel entered orbit around Herath 9 under darkness. Through the viewing port, Zara Eth could see her colony world below, its settlements glowing like small jewels against the dark landscape. But the central dome, which should have been brightest, flickered with irregular lights. Signs of violence. Marcus stood in the equipment room, checking gear with methodical precision. His movements were completely different now. No fumbling, no hesitation. He loaded supplies into packs with practiced efficiency while explaining the plan. "The Kresh have 40 hostages in the central dome," he said, studying a holographic map. "They're using them as shields, expecting a direct assault. Standard rescue protocol would be negotiation, buying time until military forces arrive." "But military forces are 6 days away," Zara Eth said grimly. "Exactly. So we use a different approach." Marcus highlighted sections of the colony's underground maintenance tunnels. "These tunnels connect every building. The Kresh won't expect anyone to use them because most species can't navigate in complete darkness." "Can you?" Zara Eth asked. Marcus smiled slightly. "Human eyes evolved for both day and night hunting. Our ancestors hunted at dawn and dusk when prey was most active. We developed excellent low-light vision. Not as good as some species, but better than most. Better than Kresh." He distributed equipment to the 12-person security team and Zara Eth. Night vision devices, communication earpieces, non-lethal weapons, and medical supplies. Each person received a specific assignment. "Remember," Marcus instructed, "we're not trying to fight the Kresh directly. They're stronger and better armored than us. Instead, we isolate them, confuse them, and make them afraid. Fear is a weapon just like any other." One security officer, a young woman named Chen, raised her hand nervously. "Sir, how do we make Kresh warriors afraid? They're trained from birth for combat." "Everyone feels fear," Marcus replied. "Even apex predators, especially when they become prey." The rescue team descended to the planet's surface in a small shuttle, landing 5 kilometers from the colony to avoid detection. They moved through the dark landscape on foot, carrying their equipment in silence. Zara Eth noticed how Marcus moved differently than during their research expedition. Each step was deliberate and quiet. He read the terrain instinctively, choosing paths that provided cover and concealment. The awkward scientist had vanished completely. They reached the colony's outer perimeter and found an emergency entrance to the maintenance tunnels. Marcus opened it carefully, checking for alarms or sensors. Finding none, he gestured the team forward. Inside the tunnels, darkness swallowed them completely. Zara Eth activated her night vision device, seeing the world in shades of green. The tunnels were narrow, lined with pipes and cables, stretching in multiple directions. "Turn off your night vision," Marcus whispered. "What? We'll be blind," Chen protested. Trust me, Marcus said. He switched off his own device and closed his eyes for a moment. When he opened them, he began moving forward with confidence, one hand trailing along the wall. Zara-Eth deactivated her device reluctantly. Darkness pressed in from all sides. She could barely see Marcus's silhouette ahead of her. But Marcus navigated perfectly. He moved through the tunnels using sound and touch, his footsteps barely audible. He had memorized the map completely, counting steps and turns in his head. When the tunnel branched, he chose the correct path without hesitation. Humans used to hunt in caves, he whispered back to them. We learned to track prey through darkness using every sense except sight. Some of our ancestors lived in environments with long winters where daylight was limited. Those who couldn't navigate darkness didn't survive. They traveled through the tunnels for 30 minutes before Marcus stopped. Above them, Zara-Eth heard heavy footsteps and rough voices, Kresh raiders patrolling the colony streets. Marcus positioned his team at key points throughout the tunnel system, each person covering a different section. He kept Zara-Eth with him as they approached the central dome from below. Now we begin, Marcus said softly into his communication device. Phase 1, psychological pressure. The security team started making sounds in different parts of the colony, scratching noises in walls, footsteps in empty corridors, whispers in the darkness that seemed to come from nowhere. Through her earpiece, Zara-Eth heard the Kresh raiders responding with confusion and growing irritation. "What are these noises?" one Kresh snarled in their guttural language. Zara-Eth's translator implant processed the words. "Probably the tunnel systems," another replied. "This colony is old. Buildings make sounds." But as the noises continued, becoming more deliberate and closer, the Kresh began to sound uncertain. Marcus smiled in the darkness. Predators rely on their senses. When those senses report impossible things, they become disoriented. We're making them doubt what they hear. Phase 2 began an hour later. Marcus's team started appearing briefly in the raiders' peripheral vision, a shadow moving in a corridor, a figure vanishing around a corner, never long enough to identify, just enough to notice. Through security cameras that Marcus had accessed through his data pad, Zara-Eth watched the Kresh becoming agitated. They were warriors, trained and experienced, but they had never been hunted before. They didn't know how to respond to an enemy they couldn't see or catch. "They're grouping together," Zara-Eth observed, watching the camera feeds. "Seeking safety in numbers." "Good," Marcus said. "Fear makes people predictable. They're abandoning their patrol routes and gathering in defendable positions. That's exactly what we want." Phase 3 was direct contact. Marcus moved through the colony like a ghost, getting close to isolated Kresh and letting them see him briefly before disappearing. He never engaged in combat, never gave them a clear target. He simply appeared and vanished, each encounter lasting only seconds. One Kresh raider fired his weapon at Marcus's shadow, missing completely. The shot revealed the raider's position to Marcus's team, who responded with non-lethal stun rounds from a different direction. The raider collapsed, unconscious. "One down," Chen reported through the earpiece. "Target secured." "Excellent," Marcus replied. "Continue the pattern. Isolate, confuse, neutralize. No lethal force unless absolutely necessary." Over the next 3 hours, Marcus's team systematically reduced the Kresh numbers. They used the colony itself as a weapon, drawing raiders into ambush positions, using the darkness and confusion to their advantage. The Kresh never saw a coordinated assault, only glimpses of enemies that vanished before they could respond. Zara-Eth participated in several captures, using her Valnorian strength to restrain stunned raiders. She began to understand Marcus's strategy. This wasn't a battle. It was a hunt, and the Kresh were the prey. Finally, only 5 Kresh remained, all gathered in the central dome with the hostages. Their leader, A massive warrior named Groth held a weapon to a Valnorian child's head. His eyes showed something Zara-Eth had never seen in a creche before. Pure fear. "I know you're out there," Groth shouted into the empty colony. "Show yourselves or the hostages die." Marcus stood in the tunnel beneath the dome, listening. He checked his equipment one final time, then looked at Zara-Eth. "Final phase," he said quietly. "The direct approach. Stay behind me and be ready to move when I give the signal." "What will you do?" Zara-Eth asked. "What humans do best," Marcus replied. "I'll give them a choice between surrendering and facing something worse than death." He climbed the access ladder to the dome's lower level, emerging into the dim emergency lighting. The hostages were clustered in the center, surrounded by the 5 remaining creche. Groth saw Marcus immediately and raised his weapon. "One human?" Groth laughed, though the sound was strained. "You come alone?" Marcus walked forward slowly, hands visible and empty. His expression was calm, almost gentle, but his eyes held that same intensity Zara-Eth had seen in the forest on Krath 7. "I'm giving you one chance," Marcus said in perfect creche language, his translator having learned it during the operation. "Surrender now. Release the hostages. Walk away from this planet and never return." "Or what?" Groth demanded. "You'll kill us? One unarmed human against 5 creche warriors?" "No," Marcus said softly, still walking forward. "I won't kill you, but I'll hunt you. Through every corridor, every shadow, every moment of darkness. You've felt it already tonight. The fear of being prey. That feeling will never end. You'll spend the rest of your lives looking over your shoulders, knowing something is following you, something patient and relentless. Something that never stops." He stopped 10 feet from Groth, completely still, and smiled. It wasn't a friendly smile. It was the expression of an apex predator showing its teeth. "That's what humans are," Marcus continued. "We're the species that hunted mammoths to extinction. We're the species that turned wolves into pets. We're the species that looked at the deadliest planet in our sector and decided to make it home. We don't just survive. We outlast everything." The dome fell silent. Groth stared at Marcus, seeing something in that human face that terrified him more than any weapon. Behind Marcus, in the shadows, the creche could see other figures moving. How many humans were there? They had only ever seen glimpses. Groth's weapon trembled slightly. "You're bluffing." "Am I?" Marcus asked. "Look at your team. Where are they?" 30 raiders entered this colony. You have 4 left standing. 1 human did that. 1 human and darkness. How do you think that happened, Groth?" The creche leader's resolve cracked. His weapon lowered slightly. Marcus saw the moment of decision in his eyes. "Last chance," Marcus said gently. "Choose wisely." Groth's weapon clattered to the floor. His shoulders slumped in defeat. "We surrender." The rescued colonists cheered as the creche raiders were secured and transported to holding cells. Medical teams rushed to treat the injured, while families reunited with tears of relief. Princess Zara-Eth helped coordinate the evacuation of those who needed immediate care. Marcus stood apart from the celebration, speaking quietly with Captain Rodriguez through his communication device. Even from a distance, Zara-Eth could see the exhaustion in his posture. The operation had lasted 8 hours without rest. "Good work, Marcus," the captain said. "Bring everyone home." As the team prepared to return to the ship, alarms suddenly blared across the colony. Emergency lights flooded the landing pad in red. Captain Rodriguez's voice crackled through every team member's earpiece, tight with tension. "We have a critical situation. The ship encountered a spatial anomaly during orbit. We took severe damage. Hull breaches in sections 4 through 7. Life support is failing. FTL drive is completely offline." Marcus's tired expression sharpened immediately. "Casualties?" 3 crew members injured, none critical. But we have bigger problems. We're venting atmosphere from multiple sections. Main power is at 40% and dropping. We need everyone back immediately. The rescue team rushed to their shuttle. During the flight back to the ship, Marcus questioned the captain about damage reports, his scientific mind analyzing the technical problems even as exhaustion pulled at him. They docked to find organized chaos. Crew members rushed through corridors carrying equipment and emergency supplies. The ship's usual steady hum had been replaced by irregular groaning sounds as damaged systems struggled to function. Captain Rodriguez met them at the airlock. Her face was grim. Engineering says we can't repair the FTL drive without parts we don't have. We're 3 weeks from the nearest station at sublight speed. That's the optimistic estimate. Life support? Marcus asked. We're rationing everything. Oxygen, water, food, power. The crew is already on reduced schedules. She hesitated. Most species can't handle extended deprivation well. We're looking at possible medical emergencies within days. Zara felt her scales prickle with concern. Valnorians could endure hardship, but 3 weeks on limited resources would strain anyone. She looked at the diverse crew. Valnorians, humans, Centaurians, and others. Each species had different tolerances and needs. Show me the damage, Marcus said. Over the next hour, he toured the damaged sections with the engineering team. Zara accompanied them, watching Marcus transform once again. The warrior from the colony faded, replaced by the focused scientist. He examined systems, calculated power consumption, and asked detailed technical questions. But something else became apparent. While other species struggled in the damaged sections, Marcus adapted naturally. Section 4 was freezing cold due to failed heating systems. The Centaurian engineer wore 3 thermal suits and still shivered. Marcus worked in standard clothing, seemingly unaffected. Humans regulate temperature through sweating when hot and shivering when cold, Marcus explained when he noticed Zara watching. Our ancestors survived ice ages and deserts. Our bodies adapted to extreme temperature variations. Section 6 had thin atmosphere due to a slow leak. Most crew members became dizzy and weak after minutes. Marcus worked there for an hour, moving slower but remaining functional. Human endurance, he said simply when they finally left. Our bodies are efficient with oxygen. Early humans lived at different altitudes, including mountains with thin air. Our lungs and blood adapted to extract maximum oxygen from whatever was available. Captain Rodriguez assigned emergency work schedules. Most crew members could work 6-hour shifts before needing rest. Marcus volunteered for 18-hour shifts. That's impossible, Zara protested. Even humans need sleep. We need it, Marcus agreed, but we can function without it for a while. Human soldiers have operated for days without proper rest during emergencies. It's not healthy long-term, but we can push through when necessary. The pattern continued over the following days. While other species required specific environmental conditions, regular meals, and adequate rest, Marcus simply endured. He worked in cold sections, hot sections, areas with thin air or unusual gravity fluctuations from the damaged systems. He went without meals when food supplies ran low, insisting others with faster metabolisms needed it more. Zara watched him repair a power junction in Section 7, working in near-freezing temperatures for 6 hours straight. His hands were steady despite the cold. His focus never wavered. "Why don't you stop?" she asked during a brief break. "You're exhausted." Marcus drank water slowly, rationing even that. "Because stopping means people might die. Humans have a stubborn refusal to quit when others depend on us. It's not logical or smart, it's just how we're built." "This is different from hunting," Zara observed. "There's no enemy to defeat here." "The enemy is entropy," Marcus said, "the tendency of systems to break down. We fight it by refusing to accept failure." He smiled tiredly. Humans are really good at being stubborn. The crisis deepened on day 5 when the water recycling system failed completely. Without it, the remaining water would last only 4 days. The nearest station was still 2 weeks away. The engineering team examined the system and delivered devastating news. The backup recycler was located on the outer hull, damaged during the anomaly. Reaching it required a 6-hour spacewalk in a deteriorating environmental suit. The radiation exposure and physical stress would be dangerous for any species. "I'll go," Marcus said immediately. "You're already exhausted from constant work," Captain Rodriguez argued. "We should send someone fresh." "Fresh crew members are needed for essential ship functions," Marcus countered. "I'm the most expendable person who has the technical knowledge to complete the repair." Zara wanted to object, but she saw the logic. Marcus had been pushing himself beyond normal limits already. If anyone could survive the dangerous spacewalk, it would be him. The preparation took 2 hours. Marcus suited up, checking seals and oxygen levels carefully. The engineering team briefed him on the repairs needed. The suit's radiation shielding was compromised, and its life support would last exactly 6 hours. No margin for error. "If you're not back in 6 hours, we'll send a recovery team," Captain Rodriguez said. "I'll be back," Marcus replied simply. Zara watched through the observation port as Marcus exited the airlock and moved across the damaged hull. His movements were careful and precise, using magnetic boots to navigate the ship's exterior. The work was tedious and demanding, requiring him to replace damaged components while maintaining his grip in zero gravity. 4 hours passed. 5. Through the communication channel, Zara heard Marcus's breathing become labored. The suit's oxygen was running low, and radiation alarms beeped steadily. "Marcus, your exposure levels are approaching dangerous levels," the captain warned. "Almost done," Marcus replied, his voice strained. "Just need to connect the final coupling." At 5 hours and 40 minutes, Marcus completed the repair. The backup water recycler activated, showing green status lights. But when he tried to return to the airlock, his suit's propulsion system failed. "I can't maneuver properly," Marcus reported calmly, though Zara could hear the exhaustion. "The suit took more damage than we thought. You have 15 minutes of oxygen left," Captain Rodriguez said urgently. "Can you reach the airlock manually?" "Working on it." Zara watched helplessly as Marcus pulled himself along the hull using handholds and magnetic grips. Each movement was slower than the last. His oxygen timer counted down. 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 3 minutes. At 1 minute remaining, Marcus reached the airlock. He pulled himself inside and sealed the door. The chamber pressurized and he collapsed against the wall, removing his helmet with shaking hands. The medical team rushed him to the infirmary. He was suffering from radiation exposure, oxygen deprivation, and complete physical exhaustion. Dr. Yara, the ship's Centaurian physician, ran tests with worried efficiency. "His body is shutting down," Dr. Yara reported to Zara outside the medical bay. "The radiation damage, the oxygen deprivation, the weeks of overwork without proper rest or nutrition, any other species would have died during that spacewalk. Even humans have limits." "Will he survive?" Zara asked quietly. "His physiology is remarkable. He's already beginning to recover, though slowly. But, Princess, I must ask, why do humans push themselves like this? What drives them to refuse giving up even when their bodies are failing?" Zara thought about everything she had witnessed. Marcus hunting Kresh through darkness. Marcus working impossible hours in terrible conditions. Marcus completing a deadly spacewalk because it needed to be done. "I think," she said slowly, "it's because humans learned long ago that stopping means death. On their world, rest came only after the threat was eliminated. So they kept going, hour after hour, day after day, until they won or died. It became part of who they are." Dr. Yara shook her head in wonder. They are either the bravest species I've ever met or the most foolish. Perhaps both, Zara F. said. She sat beside Marcus's medical bed for the next 12 hours as he slowly recovered. His vital signs strengthened gradually, his body healing itself with stubborn determination. Even unconscious, he seemed unwilling to quit. On day 7, with the water system restored and Marcus recovering, new alarms sounded throughout the ship. Zara F. rushed to the bridge where Captain Rodriguez stood before the main view screen with a grim expression. 5 ships had appeared on sensors, approaching rapidly. Their signatures matched Kresh warships. "They're hailing us," the communications officer reported. The main screen activated, showing Groth's scarred face. The Kresh leader's expression was filled with rage. "Human vessel," Groth snarled. "You humiliated my raiders. You humiliated me. Now you're damaged and helpless. Surrender or we'll destroy you and everyone aboard." Captain Rodriguez straightened her shoulders. "This is a research vessel on a peaceful mission. We're protected under galactic law." "Laws mean nothing out here," Groth replied. "You have 1 hour to prepare. Then we're boarding your ship and we're taking the human who defeated us. After we're done with him, there won't be enough left to identify." The screen went dark. Zara F. felt ice in her veins. 5 warships against 1 damaged research vessel. They had no weapons, no defenses, and their best fighter was unconscious in medical bay. They were helpless. Or were they? Captain Rodriguez stared at the 5 Kresh warships on the sensor display. The bridge crew waited in tense silence, knowing they faced impossible odds. A damaged research vessel against military ships built for combat. "Captain," the tactical officer said quietly, "we have no functioning weapons. Our shields are at 20%. If they fire on us—" "They won't fire immediately," Captain Rodriguez interrupted. "Groth wants Marcus alive. That gives us a small advantage." "What advantage?" Zara F. asked. "We cannot fight 5 warships." "No, but we can make boarding us extremely costly." The captain activated the ship-wide communication system. "All crew members, this is the captain. We face a hostile situation. I need volunteers for defensive operations. This is entirely voluntary. Anyone who wishes to evacuate to escape pods may do so now without judgment." Silence followed. Then, one by one, crew members from different species responded through their communication devices. "Engineering volunteers," said Chief Ramirez. "Science Division volunteers," added Dr. Chen. "Medical staff volunteers," Dr. Yara confirmed. Within minutes, the entire crew had volunteered. Not a single person chose to evacuate. Captain Rodriguez smiled grimly. "It seems we have our answer. All personnel report to defensive stations. We have 1 hour to prepare." Zara F. rushed to the medical bay where Marcus was slowly regaining consciousness. Dr. Yara tried to stop her. "He needs rest. His body is still recovering from severe trauma." "The Kresh are coming for him specifically," Zara F. said. "He deserves to know." Marcus's eyes opened as she approached. Despite the medical treatments, he looked exhausted. But when she explained the situation, clarity returned to his gaze. 5 warships, he repeated slowly. "Groth really wants revenge." "Can you walk?" Zara F. asked. Marcus sat up carefully, testing his strength. "I can do more than walk. Help me to the bridge." Dr. Yara protested loudly, but Marcus ignored her. With Zara F. supporting him, he made his way to the command center. Captain Rodriguez looked surprised to see him upright. "Marcus, you should be in bed." "We can discuss my health after we survive," Marcus said. He studied the sensor displays, analyzing the Kresh formation. "They're approaching slowly. Confidently. They think we're helpless." "We are helpless," the tactical officer said. "Our weapons are offline." "Our conventional weapons," Marcus corrected. He turned to Captain Rodriguez. "Captain, We're a xenobiology research vessel. What do we carry in our cargo holds? Understanding dawned on the captain's face. Environmental samples from multiple predator worlds, biological specimens, experimental containment systems. Exactly. Marcus pulled up the cargo manifest on a display. Despite his weakness, his mind worked quickly. We've been studying predator worlds for 2 years. We have samples and data from the most dangerous ecosystems in this sector. Groth is expecting a defenseless science ship. Let's give him a predator's den instead. Over the next 40 minutes, Marcus outlined a plan that seemed impossible. The crew worked frantically to implement it, converting their research vessel into something no one had attempted before. They released experimental pheromone compounds into the ship's ventilation system, chemicals designed to trigger fear responses in various species. They reprogrammed the environmental controls to create zones of extreme darkness, heat, and cold. They positioned specimen containers in strategic locations, ready to release if needed. Our cargo holds contain samples from Krath 7, including razor wolf pheromones, Marcus explained. Also, territorial markers from apex predators on 6 different worlds. We'll flood certain sections with these compounds. The Kresh will smell predators everywhere. Will that actually work? Zara-Eth asked. Fear isn't logical, Marcus said. Even trained warriors respond to instinctive warnings. If their senses tell them they're surrounded by apex predators, it'll affect their judgment. 15 minutes before the Kresh deadline, Marcus addressed the volunteer defenders positioned throughout the ship. His voice came through their earpieces, calm and steady despite his physical condition. Listen carefully. We're not trying to kill anyone. We're making them regret boarding us. Use the ship's layout to your advantage. Stay mobile. Never engage directly unless you have overwhelming advantage. Remember, you're not prey defending itself. You're predators defending your territory. The Kresh warship surrounded the research vessel. Groth's voice came through the communication system again. Your time is up. We're boarding. Resist, and we'll start executing crew members. Come aboard, Captain Rodriguez replied coldly. We're waiting. Boarding tubes connected to the research vessel's airlocks. Kresh warriors flooded through, 40 soldiers in full combat armor carrying advanced weapons. They expected frightened scientists. They expected easy prey. What they found was something else entirely. The first boarding team entered Section 3 and immediately noticed something wrong. The air smelled strange, thick with scents their instincts recognized as dangerous. Territorial markers from creatures larger and more aggressive than themselves. The lighting was wrong, too dim for comfort, but too bright for proper darkness. Advance carefully, their squad leader ordered. They moved forward, weapons raised. Then the lights went completely dark. In the darkness, sounds began. Growls from ventilation shafts, scraping noises in the walls. Footsteps that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere. The Kresh activated their tactical lights, but the beams only made the shadows deeper and more threatening. A Kresh warrior fired at a shadow. Nothing was there. Control yourselves, the squad leader barked, but his own voice carried uncertainty. Marcus watched through security cameras coordinating the defense from the bridge. Despite his exhaustion, he directed the crew with precise instructions. Human crew members moved through sections the Kresh had entered, using their superior low-light vision to reposition equipment and create sounds. Release pheromones in Section 5, Marcus ordered. Increase temperature in Section 7 by 15 degrees. Crew Team 3, fall back to position Beta. The Kresh advanced deeper into the ship, but their progress slowed. Every corridor felt wrong. Every room seemed to hide threats. They heard movements, but saw nothing. They smelled danger, but found no source. In Section 4, a Kresh warrior reached for a door panel. The panel released a burst of concentrated razor wolf territorial marker. the same scent that had filled the air when Marcus faced down the pack on Krath 7. The warrior jerked back instinctively, his armor sensors screaming warnings about predator presence. "There's nothing here!" another Kresh shouted. "Just smells and sounds!" But evolution doesn't listen to logic. Their bodies responded to signals millions of years old, telling them they were in danger. Zara Eth fought alongside the human crew members using tactics she had learned from Marcus. She didn't engage the Kresh directly. Instead, she appeared briefly in doorways, allowing them to see her before vanishing. She made sounds in empty corridors. She became a ghost, haunting her own ship. The Kresh forces reached the cargo hold access, determined to push forward despite their growing unease. The doors opened, and the squad leader entered cautiously. Inside, specimen containers lined the walls. Display cases showed preserved samples from deadly predators. And in the center of the hold stood Marcus, leaning against a support beam for stability. He looked terrible, exhausted, injured, barely able to stand, but his eyes held that same calm intensity. "Hello, Groth," Marcus said quietly. The Kresh leader pushed through his warriors, staring at the human who had defeated him before. "You're half dead," Groth observed. "You can barely stand." "True," Marcus agreed, "but I don't need to stand to ask you a question. Do you know what happens when you corner a predator?" "You're not a predator," Groth snarled. "You're one weak human on a damaged ship." "Am I?" Marcus gestured to the cargo hold. "You're standing in a room containing samples from 30 different predator worlds. Toxins, venoms, biological agents we collected for research. One button and this room fills with compounds that will make you wish you'd never been born." It was a bluff. The specimens were safely sealed, but Groth didn't know that. "You're lying," Groth said, but his voice wavered. "Maybe." Marcus smiled slightly. "Want to find out? Or you could ask yourself why 40 armed warriors are terrified of unarmed scientists. Why your soldiers are reporting predator signs throughout this ship. Why your instincts are screaming at you to run." Groth looked around at his warriors. They held their weapons, but their body language showed fear. Their eyes darted at shadows. Their breathing was rapid and shallow. "We're Kresh warriors," Groth said desperately. "We don't fear humans." "You should," Marcus replied softly, "because humans don't just survive death worlds. We turn them into homes. We don't just face apex predators. We make them extinct. And when someone threatens our crew, our family, we become something worse than any predator you've ever faced. We become persistent, creative, and absolutely unwilling to quit." The cargo hold fell silent except for the hum of the ship's damaged systems. "Last chance," Marcus said. "Leave now. Take your ships and never come near human vessels again, or stay and discover what humans do when all other options are gone." Groth's armored fists clenched. His pride demanded revenge, but his instincts, honed through countless battles, told him something different. He looked at Marcus, really looked at him, and saw what the Razor Wolf had seen on Krath 7, something that refused to be prey. "Retreat," Groth ordered suddenly. "All teams, back to the ships, now." "But Commander," a warrior protested. "Now!" Groth roared. The Kresh forces withdrew, moving quickly through the corridors they had entered so confidently. Within minutes, the boarding tubes disconnected. The warships pulled away, retreating into faster-than-light speed. The research vessel crew stood in stunned silence. Then someone cheered. The sound spread through the ship as crew members realized they had survived. Marcus collapsed against the support beam, his strength completely spent. Zara Eth caught him before he fell, supporting his weight carefully. "That was incredibly reckless," she said. "It worked," Marcus replied weakly. "You couldn't have actually released those specimens. It would have affected us too." "No, I couldn't. But Groth didn't know that. Sometimes the threat of force is more effective than actual force." Marcus smiled tiredly. Humans learned that lesson hunting animals 10 times our size. Make them believe you're more dangerous than you are, and they'll back down without fighting. Captain Rodriguez approached, her expression mixing relief with concern. Medical bay, immediately. Doctors, Yara will be furious you left in the first place. As crew members helped Marcus to the medical bay, Zara-Eth remained in the cargo hold, thinking about everything she had witnessed. She accessed a data terminal and began composing her cultural exchange report. Humans are not novices to the galactic stage, she wrote. They are apex predators who chose civilization over savagery. They survived a death world not through strength, but through stubbornness, creativity, and an absolute refusal to accept defeat. They appear gentle and awkward, but that gentleness is a choice, not a weakness. And when protecting others, they become something the galaxy should respect, and perhaps fear. She paused, then added, I came aboard this vessel expecting to teach humans about Valnorian superiority. Instead, I learned what it means to face impossible odds and refuse to surrender. I learned that humanity's greatest strength isn't their technology or weapons. It's their unwillingness to quit, even when quitting is the logical choice. 2 weeks later, the research vessel limped into the nearest station for repairs. Marcus had fully recovered, returning to his enthusiastic study of alien plant samples. He showed Zara-Eth a fascinating moss species they had collected, his eyes bright with genuine excitement. The awkward, clumsy researcher had returned completely, but Zara-Eth would never see him the same way again. She understood now that humans contained multitudes, scientists and warriors, gentle souls and fierce protectors, explorers who studied the universe with wonder while carrying the skills of apex predators who refused to become prey. Thank you, she said quietly as they examined the moss samples. Marcus looked confused. For what? For teaching me that strength isn't about never showing weakness. It's about choosing when to be gentle and when to bare your teeth. Marcus smiled, understanding. That's what makes us human. We can be both. The end.